247niger.tv with the interview segment. We have here in the house the people we spoke about that you'd really love to see in Nigeria. And here by my right immediately, I would just want to do some honor and, just shift a little from you to the very handsome young man we have right over there. The ex-NANS president, Mr. Uniuyo. You're welcome, sir.
I think you're leaving out something there.
Are you serious? No, I'm not. Let's just do that very well. And you know, that's the part where everybody wanted to hear. Now, this is the most beautiful part I just bumped into. Can you do the introduction?
Special assistant to this.
Special assistant to our executive governor here in Uniuyo, was streaming 247 Niger TV live. And this is beautiful, and it's an honor to have him here on our show.
The honor is mine.
You're welcome, sir. And right beside me is the SUG president of the University of Uniuyo. I'm talking about Comrade Lucky Imo.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
It's
sir.
a big honor to be sitting side by side. my God,
Okay, so we have these great union leaders, we have these great student activists. We're going to be talking students, we're going to be talking everything students. So much came out from Uniuyo on June 12th. Some persons call it the Uniuyo uprising.
The return of June 12th.
June 12th has never really had great memories in Nigeria. Whenever we call the dates June 12th, bad things come to our mind. It played back in Uniuyo this year. We're going to be discussing June 12th on this edition of Frontlines.
Well, come to think of it, with all that we know was involved, I am really thinking if we really know anything. That's where we'd start up with you, sir. We learned that on June 12th, it's all over the news and it's what everyone had been talking about, that there was this breakout in schools, some riot that had to do with the students needing to have the management attend to them. And due to some things that were not properly handled, it escalated to something else. I really do not understand if it was within the school or it was hijacked by outsiders. I really want to know, as the SUG president, what really took place?
Yeah, thank you very much. Before we talk about June 12th, it's important to talk about before June 12th.
That's good.
Which led to June 12th. It was just a very simple thing. Nobody thought it was going to lead to something like that. What happened in June 12th was not anticipated in any way. But to the best of my knowledge, as I know about the students that I oversee, what happened was as a result of a transport system that was introduced in school. Some faculties were moved to the school's permanent site at Use. And then there was this need, because the number increased, there was this need for a shuttle system to put in place so as to carry them. And that was what led to the introduction of that scheme. But the student did not agree with the price. So we tried to communicate that disagreement to the management, and unfortunately there were some issues. Management were not, they didn't, we did that through the dean, but from subsequent meetings we had after the incident, we discovered that the issue was not properly communicated to members of the management.
Really?
Okay,
June 12th came.
Look, I like the fact that you're talking about the build up to June 12th.
Yeah.
So I'll just take you up quickly on that. He said the issues came up, the introduction of the prices,
Transportation.
on transportation. And you said you communicated to the administration, to the management, that that wasn't favorable, that students did not like it. As a student leader, you led your EXCO, your union members to communicate that to management?
Yes, we did.
You did that?
What happened was that there was a committee that was set up. We need to know most of these things, because we've had various kind of stories about this June 12th thing. There was a committee that was set up by management. It wasn't the students.
Was there any students member of that committee?
Yes, myself and the director of transport of the union.
How many times did the committee meet?
Met just twice.
Were recommendations made?
No. What happened was, at the level of the committee, when the issue of pricing came up, we had told them that 15 naira was going to be the ideal. But there are a lot of other things that happened at the level of the committee which we won't want to get. And this committee was made up of 6 members.
Okay.
So 2 members from the union and then 4 members from the
members of
management.
staff?
Yes, from the university staff.
Okay.
So naturally, you will see that it wasn't really balanced. And
Okay.
so when the issue of arguing over a position came,
In
our
other words-
position was overwhelmed.
Okay. In other words, students who were not properly represented
Yes.
In this,
in the committee. Okay. But at the end, recommendations were made.
Yeah, I didn't see the report of the committee.
As a
Which
member
we
of the
were
committee?
called, yes, as a member of the committee. We were called after the incident of June 12th
Okay.
to come and sign the committee report.
is that how things are done?
Exactly. So those are some of the other things that the public didn't know about this thing, because there's been a lot of hammers on my head. President, we heard you did this, you accepted, you collected so much money.
Okay.
But that is not the truth.
Let us see it this way. At that particular point when students had to come up and then riot and probably protest that they did not, it wasn't favorable for them, the price that was given. Was this in any way, did the SUG know about this? Did you back up this peaceful protest or something?
No, we where students go take to the street, it's very difficult. What I did that morning, because we didn't see it coming actually, what I told the student was that, see, we've tried to see how management can accept our own input on this thing, and they are not doing that. Let's see how we can avoid the transport scheme. It's not compulsory. Let's see how we can avoid the transport scheme, use other means to go for our classes. And that will send a message both to management and to the transport companies that, see, we are not in agreement with this. Because I and the student leadership, we've tried to tell them that, no, the price was too much. So at that point in time, riots or protests is something that is very delicate. So we came that morning of 12th. We came, and then just a handful of students really, which would have been controlled.
Okay, before we go to June 12th, I want to bring in the Frontlines president in at this moment. You've been a student union leader. Is there anything that could have been done as at that morning, in your opinion, to forestall what happened on June 12th?
Well, so much could have been done before. Very few things would have been done on the morning.
Okay.
And fewer things would have been done after the morning.
Okay.
Now, you see, which is why part of the things I hope to do in my office is to train our people about crisis intervention and management.
Okay.
You see, you can't run away from crisis. We're in a studio now. I'm not sure that you need to have a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
I don't know if you do. Because you don't run away from trouble. You're working with electricity, someone could trip over something, someone, if he's a smoker, could forget that he's in a studio and he smokes, and the sparks from the cigarette will just, and everybody will run around. People will be confused as to, should we use sand, should we use water, what should we do? So how many Nigerians, it's just now, it's not about the students of University of Uniuyo, how many Nigerians know crisis management? But overseas, you find very little children understand that if I find fire, I press on the fire alarm, I get a fire extinguisher and can operate it.
Nice.
Half of the drivers we have in this country don't know how to operate the fire extinguishers they have. They only carry for road safety. They are willing to show the road safety. They don't know that it expires. So the issue at the crux of it is crisis, intervention, and management. So you can't lay blames on the table of anyone. We had floods last year, and you saw it took all of us unawares. People didn't know what to do. But you had a worst case of flood in China, and you saw what people were doing. So that's the difference. So I'm taking a position of no victor, no vanquish. I'm taking a position of let's not lay blames. Incidentally, as a lawyer, I appreciate the fact that the matter surrounding this issue is in court. So I also must be careful in my comments on it so that it doesn't become sub judice.
Okay.
But on the whole, the issue is, can we learn from the story of June 12? First and foremost, as students, next time we want to embark on a protest, that's why there's leadership. You see, we're not a parental kingdom, every man with his cap. We must learn to respect the people we've kept in positions of authority. Yes, they didn't listen to Lucky Maya, they didn't listen to their president, but at the end, it's still Lucky Maya who needs to speak for them. Because every engineering student, every science student can't speak for themselves.
That's true.
So when you refuse to listen to Lucky Monya, who came out to ask you, please, can we resolve this matter at this point? Can I speak to the management? Can I talk to this? And you didn't listen to him. You had demobilized him. You know, you had taken his power base from him. It's not that he's SUG president doesn't mean he represents the students every time. Because when he's sitting with his girlfriend, if he has one, or when he's singing in church, and he's a chorister, he's still SUG president, but he's not doing the work of students there.
No,
So at any point, Lucky cannot have the backing of students. He's no longer SUG president.
Yeah.
So during that crisis, did the students allow their elected representative to speak as he should have spoken? So it begins to talk about the issues of leadership. Are we accepting recognized leadership? The issues of responsibilities. We have parents in school. The vice chancellor is a mother. You know, the dean of students is a father. You know, we have deans. Did they play their role as parents? You know, has democracy taken its roots in universities where the lecturers should see the students as their children? Ownership of this process. The university is not a place you go to work. The university is an extension of the lecturer's family. So anything you would not do to your child, don't do it to another person's child. So those are the ethos that we are looking at. Those are the things we are seeing. Those are the things we want to say. Where were these things lacking on June 12th? And not to apportion blame, because like Jeff Kennedy said, our task is not to fix the blame for the past, but to set the cost for the future. June 12th is history, but will there be another June 12th? June 12th has been there before, in case you didn't know. It was there in the days of Onofio. It was still June 12th. It wasn't 2013. It was 2003. June 12 it was. But it wasn't that date. No, it wasn't that date. Then why you hear about it today is because it happened on June 12. It's because someone died. Oh, because Onofio got rusticated, he did not die. But the same issues.
Yes.
Can we look at the remote and immediate causes of the crisis in Uniuyo? It is funding. How many people in Akwa Ibom are willing to say that, look, this is the only truly federal tertiary institution we have? Kaduna State has more than 8. As a former NANS president, I can say that. So how many people are willing to stand up and speak? When the president came in 2010, I refused to talk politics. The only thing I asked the president was, Your Excellency, the Federal Secretariat of NANS is in the University of Uniuyo by virtue of my being a president. And there are special interventions. Uniuyo is here to get its takeoff grant. There are special interventions Uniuyo should get. It has not gotten. Your Excellency, please, I ask that you look into it. That was 2010. Akwa Ibom stakeholders were there. His Excellency, the governor, was there. And he caused the president to notice. The president said he was going to review the spending template. He was going to ask the Minister of Education to look into it. That was in 2010.
And I'm very sure he's looking into it.
Yes, so the issue is, how many people in that hall re-echoed what Uniuyo said? No, it was the students' matter. We're talking politics. It was here that the president, the first time a group of people asked the president to run for president, was in Akwa Ibom. So yes, we left issues that concerned us, and we spoke politics, I agree. But having run and won, have we gone back to revisit the issue? I don't have access to the villa. I'm a former NANS president and I remain a comrade. But people have access to the villa. We have Akwa Ibom indigents as very close friends to the president. Who has been that person who has mentioned to say, Mr. President, please, can we look at University of Uniuyo? We have established 6 new universities, 1.5 billion naira have been given to those schools. Take note, those schools are yet to admit or convoke anybody. But 1.5 billion given. How much has been given to the University of Uniuyo that has admitted and produced more than 100,000 people functioning well in Nigeria? Questions to be answered. It is not about who was to blame. It is that the child is born in the marketplace. You can't ask the mother to close her legs.
It's already happened.
Wow.
So what do we learn from June 12th? On this medium, I'm excited about what you're doing. What do we learn from it? Luckily, the ASU strike has come to shelve everybody, so everyone is at home. So Uniuyo students are not feeling very bad. So how do we prepare that as we come back, we would learn lessons? Students would learn lessons the next time you want to mobilize. You are careful. In NANS, we talk about 3 C's. That's our modus operandi. First is consultation. Second is consolidation. Then there is a dash before the last C, which is confrontation. What is the level of consultation? Did you consolidate upon that consultation before you went for confrontation? And mind you, within a democracy anywhere in the world, when people gather, whether it is called peaceful, it is confrontation. Take notice, when Barack Obama was contesting for the presidency of America with McCain, Pauline, the vice presidential candidate, was a governor of the state.
Okay.
And she was going to another state for campaigns. And a group of about 100 people stood on the road. The difference is the methods we use. Do you know what the CIA and FBI did? They stood among the protesters. And they did not ask them to leave. The conventional police stood by the side. When it was time for Sarah Palin to pass, they just did as if people in the protesters were fighting. But those were CIA agents. They just shifted and a road was created in between. She drove past. That was crisis management, breaking a crisis. Did you get? Now, if Lucky was armed sufficiently, and that is why when we elect leadership, we must build capacity.
That's true.
Every election of an SUG has less than 20% of the students' population voting. Why? Because the students, immediately you declare there will be lecture-free day, the girls run back either to their homes to meet daddy or daddy. The guys run out to hustle for money. So you need less than 20% to select leadership for 100%. So what it means that the first thing the SUG president needs to do is to popularize himself among the 80% who did not vote for him. They didn't vote for him because they hated him, but they didn't vote for him because they didn't vote for anybody. Now, so what is the capacity building that you transform a psychologist to an administrator capable of handling crisis? You see, so those are the things that have popped up as a result of June 12. And those are the things we need to look at in preparation to forestall another June 12.
Okay, still on to Frontlines, right here on 247 TV. We're going on a very short break. We're discussing students, crisis management, and of course the union issues. We're going on a very short break, and when we return, we will be talking about the 44 students we told are still in police custody. Frontline will return after this cut.
We are 247.Niger TV. We're here with Honorable Uniuyo.
No, not honorable.
You're serious?
Comrade.
I just don't know how to look at you and address you like right now. It's really an honor to be with you here in the house, and still here with Comrade Emma Boanden, Comrade Lucky Imoyang. This was the ex-NANS president, and this is the president SUG, president of University of Uniuyo. We're talking the June 12 crisis that happened in the University of Uniuyo. Previously, we've been with them, and he's spoken greatly on what has happened and what we can learn from it. And seriously, it's been a great one to discuss here, because apart from seeing the fact that we had crisis, I really love the fact that we could see where we're going with it, because I remember a time I spoke about that with someone. I was telling someone that I believe that from the ashes will arise a greater Uniuyo.
Okay.
So right now, there has been a lot involved on that day. There were a lot that happened that day, and I learned it's been on the news that some students lost their lives, and I really want to confirm from the people that would speak about the university, for example, talking about the SUG president, what really went down, and then is it really true that students lost their lives?
Can we just a second, because we've heard that 3, in some quarters 4, and then officially on the papers 1. So let's see the true state right now.
Yes, one Comrade Kingsley died there because he's late now. 200 level students from zoology died as a result of the crisis. And then, of course, we know about the incident that happened after that. Some NANS comrades who were coming for intervention died on their way.
So
May their souls rest in peace.
So officially, only one student from University of
University
Uniuyo
died.
lost his life.
And then I heard also, as much as this whole thing happened, that the riot was hijacked, and much later the police had to be brought in to calm stuff down, and that students were asked to vacate the premises of the school. But when the police came around, it's like arrests had to be made. What's really about that, and is it really true?
Yes, it's also true that a handful of students were also arrested on the day of the incident. But you know, like my senior comrade said, we don't want to really dwell so much on what has happened, but there is progress. So I will be talking a little bit about the progress that we've made since then.
Beautiful.
In October, the students have been arraigned in court
Yes.
for charges ranging from arson, murder, stealing, looting, and all of that. So, I don't know, I would like to take you up on that as a lawyer and also a comrade. Do you think it's really right for, would a student during this kind of crisis kill a fellow student?
Well, everything is possible. What if both of them had a girlfriend's call?
Okay.
It's possible, theoretically.
Okay.
But it's a matter within the framework of the court. So we must be careful and guided.
Okay.
There is a second, to my knowledge, there is a second autopsy. Now, you see, that's again crisis management. When the boy was shot, people should have known enough to take him to a government hospital for resuscitation, and if he was confirmed dead, an autopsy should have been done. The caliber of bullets that penetrated his body will determine whether it's a civilian ammo or it's a military ammo. Now, for example, I'm not certain that any student has access to AK-47.
Okay.
They will have access to smaller guns. And
Locally made pistols.
but let's leave that. The issue I've been working with him on, in line with Civil Liberties Organization, the President's Faculty of Law Students Association, has been, some of them have been arraigned. They were arraigned procedurally in the magistrate court, which declined jurisdiction and remanded them in custody. So what it means is that DPP would advise and proper charges will be raised in a court of competent jurisdiction, being a high court. I have had meetings with the Attorney General, who has responded as a father, and has offered legal palliatives, which we are yet to meet. In fact, when I did a meeting with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Uniuyo, still in furtherance to this.
Okay.
Now, there's a procedure called the nolle prosecute, which is the power of the Attorney General to terminate proceedings, criminal proceedings, because the crime is committed against the state, not an individual. But again, he must exercise discretion in the exercise of that conduct.
Okay.
So we're still looking around the clock. We're in the prisons the other day. Yes. Okay. A lot of them have been released on bail. Some have secured bail, but the conditions of bail are humongous. So we're looking at how to vary those conditions of bail. That's in the palliative, varying the bail, getting everybody out first, so that we can start talking like human beings. But the main thing is to appeal to the states to see if they can look the other way. But in looking the other way, we would give a stern warning, because we will not condone, and I say that conscious that I've been a student activist, and I'm now in government. We will not condone any act of criminality. Some people undertook the criminal act of burning down university structure and facility, burning down records, and cutting away, stealing. If and when the state decides to grant pardon and clemency, we will reiterate, which is why we are going on school tours from my office, that criminality will not be condoned. If you are a student, we'll try you in court, you'll be convicted, and you'll go in for it. But let us take this as the first warning. But again, we are not yet there. So while a lot have met their bail conditions and have left the prison, a few of them are still there. And we are still working to ensure they are released back to their parents first, before we can begin to engage with the states to see the conditions at which the states will provide for granting them that knowledge.
Please let me quickly say a little bit, because I know students who will be getting to connect with us will want to know things that the union has been doing.
Okay.
So, yes, we thank God that he came on board at this time. We have also engaged with management on the matter of the students who have been in prison.
Okay.
And the Vice Chancellor was also willing to talk to the Attorney General, which she confirmed that she did, which has led to most of the things that my senior comrade is talking about. And also, we engaged the services of some lawyers, like the CLO was talking about, Civil Liberty Organization, and some lawyers at King Bank's chambers. And some of the parents also got individual lawyers. So this point, right now, I came to this place from the prisons. We have, I think, about 10 people still remaining.
Okay, just say it.
So,
Just say it.
yes,
Okay.
more than 30 have been released. So those just for the parents to try to fulfill the bail
conditions. Okay.
which was high, and like you said, the lawyers involved tried to vary the bail conditions so that the parents will be able to meet up. And also, a meeting we had with management, some set of concerns were placed before the management,
Okay.
so as to make sure the incidents of June 12 does not repeat itself again. Because we discovered that it was as a result of a strained relationship between management and the leadership of the student.
That's where I wanted to come in.
Yes.
I was just thinking, after all of this, what happened that day, and then, you know, like an ending note, how are we really trying to see that this does not repeat again? If something like this happens, that students and management have a better relationship where we can express ourselves and then get our leaders, or would I say the management, to be able to understand our plight, you know, as students, and then be able to, you know, just converse with us and get things going good. Say I was a student, because I was, here in the same University of Uniuyo. So how are we looking at it, please?
That's a
what do you
process. That's a process. You see, the truth is, diplomacy is not worked on the media.
Okay.
The duty of the media is to report bad news. Yes, because when a dog bites a man, it isn't news. But when a man bites a dog, so for papers to sell, the media must in fact engineer men to bite dogs. So peace is not found via the media. We will only report peace when it has been achieved through the media. So consolidatory efforts are being made. You know, internal rearrangements are being made. My duty is not to intervene. No, my duty is not to interfere, but to intervene and facilitate that process. So I'm sure that by the time management and students are right on track, we'll be able to come back together and sit together, you know, to say that, look, peace has come. And you do not know the true worth of peace until crisis has come to test the peace. So the peace they are trying to broker, you won't know the true worth of that peace until someday a crisis and disagreement between management and student comes, and they are able to manage it without another crisis coming up. So that's when we talk about development, we talk about evaluation, we talk about impact. So the outcome, the output of what you're going to see is that students' management can come together and school will resume. The outcome of that will be that school will resume normally, you know, we'll be certain that people are not overcharged and all that, people will be released. That's the outcome. But when you're looking at the impact, it is to say 4 years from now, you know, in June 12, in 2017, we ask ourselves and say, June 12, 2013, this happened. Between now and then, how many disagreements have management and students had? How many have been resolved and that is when you can evaluate the impact. So, and that is what they are working on. That is what we must work on when we live here. And that is why you must release me to go and work on that.
Please, before you release him, I want to say a little because a lot has been going on since the 12th, since two Tuesdays ago.
Okay.
We called for a roundtable discussion with management, and we tried to place a couple of concerns before them, like the students being released from prison. That we also wanted management to try to do one or two things, and also the student who died, just in a way to honor him, you know. So management have also been willing to say, okay, we are going to immortalize Kingsley, which also shows that management are willing to learn from the incidents and change and relate very well with the students. So that, you know, if ASU strike gets off now, and University of Uniuyo students are saying they will be the ones losing. Because people in management, they are getting paid, and they will be at home. So we want progress to be made so that the students will come back to class.
That is okay.
Go ahead.
And I am sure that with everything I have heard from both of you and everything we've discussed on here, how the processes are going, I believe it is going to be okay. very soon. I really believe that we will be able to take from what happened and to make sure that any other time something like this comes up, we manage it properly. And I really love everything you said because there's really a lot to learn from crisis management. Very, very important. And that is how far it has been, that's how good we've gone. I am so happy, Nigeria, that you stayed here with us. It's still been Comrade Ini in Melbourne and Comrade Lucky in Moore. And we've been here on this interview segment discussing Uniuyo and the crisis that happened on June 12, 2013. Thank you for staying with us. It's still in our Alfonso's and
courage. And when Frontline continues with the sports, Frontline sports, of course, David the Genius and Greg James are on standby on cue. I'm very sure you're going to have a very lovely time out with them. We'll be right back.